Fiction here, Tank12, having them call me, I don't really care. Welcome back to World of Tanks, where we are today playing the Kranvagn, and where we are talking a little bit about teamwork in World of Tanks, and how teamwork makes the dream work, and when it happens in this game, it's a thing of beauty. It's a very beautiful thing, because when you're playing with 14 different strangers and 15 enemies on the other side, you don't really know what your team is going to be doing, especially now that you don't have any XVM. You do not know anything about these players. A lot of them are probably also running the anonymizer, which obviously is it's their choice. I'm running anonymizer as well, because I have had a much more pleasant experience playing this game with the anonymizer. Nobody was able to take a look at my stats. I wasn't getting targeted by artillery often, and generally just speaking, I've enjoyed the game a lot more with the anonymizer on, and that's why I kind of sacrificed the XVM. But since you don't have those information, you really don't know what you're going to be going up against and with whom you're going to be playing. Are you going to be playing with people who know what they're doing? Or are you going to be playing with new players? A lot of these things, a lot of these factors, you really can't tell except for the way how these players behave and how they play. Sometimes it's quite obvious that a player is new to the game and goes into a position where he will get annihilated very, very quickly. And sometimes you really, really see that that player is very skilled, especially if that person is one who has like 3 marks of excellence. And I've seen quite a few at tier 10, some super conquerors and some Kranvagn players. And when you see that, well, you do have a bit of respect for these players. And I think the way that you would be handling them is completely different than the way you would be, kind of responding to players that are new to the game. At least that's how I always looked at it. But I'm trying to, help everyone out. Doesn't matter if it's a player who is very experienced or not. That's why I don't have XVM anymore. And it's quite interesting. So as you can see, to the gameplay now, we're playing on Redshire, and it's a tier 8, 9, and 10 game. But there are only a few tier 10 tanks. As you can see, the majority of them vehicles in this match are actually tier 8 and tier 9. And when you're on a map like this with Redshire, there's always a choice you have to make when you're playing a heavy tank. As a heavy, you usually go to this broken Zeppelin, to this destroyed Zeppelin, but at the same time, if you think about it, it's probably not the safest place if you do not have any eyes. And the enemy team, they've only sent a Kranvagn and 2 tanks sitting at the back at H0. They're doing a fabulous job of holding us back. We really can't push as long as this Astron Rex and the... what was the other tank? The Charioteer are sitting back there. The Kranvagn made a mistake. He was very aggressive and we were able to clip him out. But our IS-3 did take a little bit of damage. But I want you guys to keep an eye on the IS-3 and on the Stridswagen K, because communication in this game is vital, and with these guys I'm constantly communicating. And the IS-3 is using all of the different buttons, calling for help, and telling us where the enemies are. And I think it's really, really interesting to see, because information in the end is going to make you or allow you to win the game. And because the IS-3 was calling out that he needed help because the Kranvagn made a move, and I saw that, I obviously reacted to it, and I responded to him and said, obviously I'm going to go and come help him out. That allowed us, on the other hand, to take out the Kranvagn. But this is just the start where we are communicating, because this is a game where the game is very evened out. Because we're sitting over here, and because we are not being pushed by some heavy tanks, we are in a very luxurious position that nobody can really shoot us from the other side, but we can shoot them because we see them, because the Kunzepanzer or the LTTB are keeping them spotted. You can see that some of our medium tanks and the tanks that have died are a bit frustrated because they were completely annihilated by a much larger force. And for us, it's a very awkward situation because we cannot really push. Because if we do push, we're going to get annihilated from all the sides. That's why we're just kind of holding this spot and we're waiting for something to happen. But if you're doing it like that, it's going to open the entire other front to all the enemy tanks that are there to just, allow them to drive through and destroy as many tanks as they can. Luckily, we have a team that is fairly good in defense. They have set up shop in a lot of corners, and they have some very nice positions now. With some very nice tanks. Skrilla 15, E50, T103, the Kunze-Panzer. That's a lot of DPM. That's a lot of alpha as well. So generally speaking, if you want to go into that area, you need to have more control of the map. And obviously, they have lost a lot of tanks now in the middle. And I think at the same time now, they are at a disadvantage. If we play our cards right, this is really important because now, excuse me, I have a little bit of a cough. It's not COVID, but just a little bit of cough. Now we're starting to communicate with the guys. I'm telling them, just stay put. We'll have to see how this situation is going to develop. And we have to, use our HP advantage that we currently have right now. And what we need to do is we need to win a flank. I'm telling the WZ, who has been sitting at the back for about 7 minutes now, he doesn't really have an impact on the game. I'm telling him that he could help out the Kunze-Panzer in the middle. Now, obviously, I don't want to tell people how to play their game, and I usually do not write something like that. But I thought that if you want to win this game, if he goes help the Kunze, he's going to be of more value to us because he's going to assist them pushing a flank, and they need the HP. He doesn't even need to, he doesn't even need to do a lot of damage. He just needs to be there to assist the other tanks that we have more manpower. But he comes over to us, so now we have to rethink our strategy. The Stridswagen K and the IS-3 both are fairly competent, and they also have enough patience. And we have 7 minutes, so they have all the right ideas. The Stridswagen K, he just said, we have to get map control, and I told them that we have 7 minutes, and now I'm telling them that I'm going to go to the middle because I have the gun depression, I have the mobility, and they should just hold these guys in this one place, bind some enemies in one place that we can, go over there and knock out what is remaining on one place, and then we can clean up everything that's around there. And you can see the IS-3 is telling us that he's going to stay here and be a decoy or a deterrent, and this is really great. This is the thing that you want to see when you're playing World of Tanks, because this is where the players are brainstorming together, going through strategies on how to get through the blockade or through an obstacle, and the obstacle in this case is a very defensive position of the enemy team. And if they can just keep them occupied in their area, they won't. Well, at least they might be expecting us to push, but they probably still think that our main idea is just to gather forces around there and then just make a daring push. But by this point, actually, the game was already won because our team, you can see this is a great team. This is a team that really read the map, read the situation, and this team immediately reacted in the right way. They held out for very long. They went into a defensive position when they had to, and then when they noticed that the enemy team was running low on HP and vehicles, they went into the offensive. And you can see our guys are pushing down the one line. They're using the very furthest kind of way to go in, being undetected. Unfortunately, we lose the IS-3 over there, but we spot the T-54 and the Kunze-Panzer, at least our team does, and the Badjet 25, and they were expecting our team pushing the 1-2 line, but because there were so many of our vehicles there, with the E50 and the Grille and the T103, they were able to overwhelm them, and with our fire support and with the fire support from the Kunzenpanzer, they're able to push right through, thus winning us the game, because that was the game deciding move right there. We knocked out 3 of their tanks, and the most dangerous 3 tanks that they had. So right now it's only about cleaning up. There's still the Astron Rex is sitting somewhere at the back. We still have a Chrysler GF who's sitting at the back, and we still have the Charioteer. But by this point, they really don't have any more impact in the game, because there's no way in hell that they're going to win this. And that's why communication and a little bit of faith and trust in your teammates is so important in this game. If everything combines, you're going to have awesome games. This was not a blowout. This was not a game that was over in a minute. These are the games that we're looking for in World of Tanks. These are the games that we are missing because of the very bad balance. But this was a game that was really entertaining, especially since I was playing a majorly overpowered vehicle with the Kranvagn, and I had to have an impact on the game, right? You don't want to throw your super powerful tank away if you're top of the tree and top of the game. And it was just a very, exhilarating feeling to see that everyone was working together, and in the end, there were GGs going around, and I rode the Stritzwagen K and the IS-3. I congratulated them for that great performance. And these are the things that we want to see more. We want to see more of this kind of communication and this way of how you play as a team. And I think these moments are quite rare, but they are not impossible to find. Sometimes you just have to be a bit more open, maybe just type in the chat what you are thinking about doing. Sometimes it is not exactly visible to the blind eye of a player what you're trying to achieve. And if you type it in the chat, you tell them what your plan is, they might just react accordingly, and they might just adapt to it. That's why whenever I'm playing a light tank, I'm always trying to tell the guys, hey, I'm gonna do one move over there, and I would really appreciate some support. And if they do it, that's great. If they don't do it, I've told them, gave them the option. And it's not as great, but still, at least I went ahead and tried to get a little bit of a response out of it. A lot of the times you get a lot of positive results, much more positive than negative. And I think you just have to be a little bit more open. I'm trying to be more communicative when I'm playing World Tanks. And generally speaking, I really enjoy, having these team sessions where we are really talking about strategies. And that's why I should actually play platoons. So that's another thing that I want to cover in the future. What it's like to play in a platoon and how the World of Tanks experience changes in a 2-man or a 3-man platoon. So hopefully you guys did enjoy. As always, comment, like, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys on the next video. Until then, have a good one.